Welcome to American Press Productions, independent political analysis. Today's featured story is the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, an attack on states' rights and the Electoral College. But first, the daily headlines. Yesterday was the anniversary of Trayvon Martin's death. The story captivated the country and is still remembered to this day. President Obama once famously said that if he had a son, he would look like Trayvon. Trayvon was shot and killed by George Zimmerman. Zimmerman claims he acted in self-defense, and a jury acquitted him of all charges. The story became much more than just about the death of Trayvon. It started a larger conversation about the shooting of black youths by police officers in America. Well, maybe not so much a conversation, rather an accusation. The fact that black officers shoot black people at the same exact rate as white officers was completely ignored. Instead, Zimmerman was mischaracterized as a white man. This despite his Peruvian mother and African great-grandfather. To the news media, he was simply a white man, and by extension, white America and racism were packaged inseparably together and demonized by the news media. The actions of subsequent black shooting victims by the police were ignored in a media campaign to accuse white America of racism. Meanwhile, the black shooting victims of black people were also completely ignored. We all know the story about Trayvon. The news media continues to remind us 7 years after. But what about Jonathan Foster? He was a 12-year-old white kid who was kidnapped by a complete stranger, a 44-year-old black woman, on Christmas Eve. She took Jonathan back to her house and burned him alive, then dumped his charred corpse into a ditch 3 miles from her house. There's also the story of Fredrick Scott, a black man, who said he was going to shoot up a school and kill all white people. He killed 6 white people over a few months between 2016 and 2017. He targeted lone white people on park trails in Kansas City. Imagine President Trump picking out one of those victims and saying they could have been a family member of his. Imagine the media outrage, which brings us to a recent quote from President Trump. "The fake news media, the true enemy of the people, must stop the open and obvious hostility and report the news accurately and fairly." It seems to be open season on anyone who supports President Trump. Last Friday in Massachusetts, a Brazilian woman, who is in this country illegally, attacked a man who was wearing a Make America Great Again hat. The man took out his phone and began filming as he was being attacked by the woman. After being arrested by the police, ICE picked her up. She has been entered into removal proceedings before the federal immigration courts. Yesterday in New Jersey, an 81-year-old man was attacked for wearing a Make America Great Again hat. The victim had minor injuries and police are searching for his attacker. On Monday, a black high school student, 18-year-old Kenneth Jones, in Oklahoma, attacked a white student at school for wearing a MAGA hat. He threatened the white student, who cannot be named because he is a minor, and ripped a Trump banner out of his hands. Kenneth Jones has been issued a municipal court summons. Both parties will meet with a city attorney, who it is up to file assault charges against Kenneth Jones, who is an adult. It is the rhetoric pushed by the media, who constantly put a negative spin on stories about President Trump, that has caused this kind of behavior. We now live in a country where openly supporting the president is an excuse to be attacked by your fellow citizens and illegal immigrants. Roger Williams University, a private liberal arts university in Bristol, Rhode Island, is now offering a course titled Wakanda Forever, based on the movie Black Panther. No, this isn't a film class, and it's not a joke. Assistant Professor of American Studies Aaron Allen believes the movie is more than just a superhero movie. It is an opportunity to discuss the politics of race and racism in the U.S. Allen said, "The film itself is raising real questions about power and equity. For example, the character of Eric Killmonger is an African American who has been disavowed from his home country, but realizes that Wakanda's technology can liberate all black people around the world." Black Panther is fictional. But many fictional stories teach important moral lessons, help people see the world from different viewpoints, and even encourage personal growth. The classical works of Greek playwrights come to mind. In case you haven't seen the movie, Killmonger's father was kicked out of Wakanda for breaking the law. And throughout the movie, Killmonger steals to get what he wants, and his idea of liberation is to kill anyone who gets in his way. And now to our featured story. The National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, an attack on states' rights and the Electoral College. Colorado Governor Jared Polis, Democrat, is set to sign a bill that will join his state with 11 others that will bypass the electoral college system. The votes of the citizens in these states will no longer have a voice regarding which presidential candidate their electors vote for. Instead, these 11, soon to be 12 states, will give their electoral votes to the winner of the nation's popular vote. It's called the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, but it only takes effect once enough states have joined to reach the 270 electoral votes needed to win a presidential race. The 11 states who have already joined are Maryland, New Jersey, Illinois, Hawaii, Washington, Massachusetts, Vermont, California, Rhode Island, New York, and Connecticut. These states total 172 electoral votes, 63.7% of the way to 270. Now, this isn't something entirely new. Maryland, as the first state to join the pact, signed the bill into law to do so in 2007. California joined in 2011, and New York in 2014. There has only been 5 times in this nation's history where the winner of the popular vote did not win the electoral vote. Adams over Jackson in 1824, Hayes over Tilden in 1876, Harrison over Cleveland in 1888, Bush defeated Gore in 2000, and Trump won over Clinton in 2016. The win by Trump has reignited the calls to remove the electoral college system and will likely push other states to join the pact. The bill has passed the New Mexico lower house this year. Its status is pending in the upper house. The bill has also been introduced to 9 other states' lower houses in 2019 and is being considered by committee. Those states are Arizona, Florida, Idaho, Maine, Nevada, New Hampshire, Ohio, and South Carolina, all combined, including Colorado and New Mexico. That totals 101 electoral votes, enough to bring the pact live. But the bill has already died in committee in Mississippi and Virginia, so there is likely still a long fight to go. Progress or subversion? This bill subverts the electoral college system put into place by the Founding Fathers. The system was created to maintain a unique and independent voice for each state when electing a president, and that voice is under attack. The population of coastal cities is growing while so-called flyover states are diminishing. Because of this, residents of those cities and their elected officials have pointed out what is, in their view, the unfair discrepancy in the voting power of citizens in states with small populations. Each state gets 2 senators. Montana, for example, has a population of just over 1 million. And California is just short of 40 million, but each state sends 2 senators to Congress. Some feel that diminishes the voice of Californians and want this perceived unfairness rectified. We already have a term for the product of such a redress: tyranny of the majority. And the Founding Fathers put many systems in place to specifically avoid that. The number of electoral votes each state has is determined by their number of congressmen plus their 2 senators. Once the electoral vote is gone, would it then no longer make sense to restrict congressional districts along state lines, but instead draw them as proportional to the overall population of America, bringing them in line with the popular voting system that would decide the presidential race? This would reduce the governmental power of those living in the so-called flyover states. Who is the majority? There is an even larger issue at play here. People aren't just moving to the coastal cities because of jobs. Those are also sanctuary cities. An illegal immigrant can live and work in these cities with no fear of deportation. Some of them even vote in our elections, and it's the Democrats who are courting their vote. Over 2/3 of Hispanics vote Democrat. In September of 2018, House Resolution 1071 titled, "Recognizing that allowing illegal immigrants the right to vote devalues the franchise and diminishes the voting power of the United States citizens." 71 Democrats voted no. 230 Republicans voted yes. Possible 2020 presidential candidate Beto O'Rourke voted yes. The Texas Democratic Party asked illegals to vote. Forms were sent out to illegals with the citizenship box already checked yes. The Beto O'Rourke campaign sent out texts asking for volunteers to bring illegals to the voting polls on Election Day. It is the Democrats who fight against voter ID laws, erroneously calling them racist. It is the Democrats who stand to gain decades of entrenched political power by fighting for both legal and illegal immigration from our southern border, along with bringing live the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. Without competition, a political party acts with little thought for accountability, a system anathematic to our republic.